We still have PHEV and HEV for like Santa Fe and Tucson, and HEV for Sonata. And but when we did this Kona, we deliberately decided that we were going to, have EV. We still have the gas versions, 2-liter and 1.6 turbo. We got the N line. But we deliberately, especially going forward, want to focus energy on EV. And it's been working well so far. Now, if because we constantly do the research as we go and the customer claim, the early buyer studies, if we find there's a need for that, we will consider for this market. But the initial positioning was that.
Is this because you have hybrid technology, but also I've been really curious about plug-in hybrids and how they can be for us to get a bigger piece of the market. That isn't just folks like us who have a home with a garage and multiple vehicles in the family fleet. Then it's easy to add one EV, maybe two.
Right.
But for folks who live in a brownstone here,
we still
Brooklyn,
have HEVs. This is the one thing about that actually I'm quite proud of with Hyundai. We have HEVs, battery EVs, plug-in hybrid, and fuel cell. So we have it in different segments, right? So when you consider Tucson, you consider Santa Fe, Sonata. So I don't. It's just on this particular Kona. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did resist asking because asking Jose about hydrogen just because that's such a big topic. But you still have fuel cells here. You still have the one.
Right, and then we also have Exeon, so we're looking at heavy duty as well, right?
Right.
The Exeon trucks, right? But here's the thing on that. I feel to some degree the conversation has become it's battery EV or hydrogen. Are you Republican or Democrat?
Right.
It's like, no, you know what it is? We have really stringent climate change goals, really stringent mandates, particularly in California, but for the nation as a whole, and 50% EV by 2030, right? So as we move on, we're no longer in early adoption phase. If we're really going to meet the needs and all these OEMs are producing quality EVs, we're going to need, for our climate change needs, we're going to need different solutions. And so you have battery EVs, and we're obviously all in, and we actually delivered quite well on that. And then, but you have hydrogen, and maybe it's for heavy duty initially to build up the infrastructure. And maybe it's for those big trucks to go from Oakland to the Los Angeles port or something like that. And then you kind of set up the infrastructure that way and then see if it passes. But if we're going to meet our needs, I think there's people that have an interest in saying BEV only. And we're all in, so we're not anti-BEV, but there's opportunity with hydrogen. Now, it's earlier in its infrastructure, it's earlier in its journey.
We don't have enough infrastructure for EVs, but it's more achievable in a faster term.
But you can do things in parallel, right?
We can do more than one
15 years ago, there was no EV charging, and it's not completely ubiquitous now, but it's much improved from 10, 15 years ago. Well, guess what? The hydrogen infrastructure could be much improved in 10, 15 years from now as well.
I want to ask you about Hyundai Home, but I also have, if you have natural gas coming to your home for heat, could you make hydrogen there, or could you have a fuel cell that would use, isn't there a natural gas connection, or is that only has to be methane?
Again, so a couple of things, right? We also talked, maybe if we do hydrogen, you're doing heavy duty trucks, not passenger.
Sure.
And that's most likely, you're not going to have a heavy duty truck usually at your home. It depends on what neighborhood you live in. I don't know, Jane. But what I would say that the idea between Hyundai Home was actually to address a different problem. It's actually to address, and I'll talk a little bit about infrastructure. But the idea with Hyundai Home was, I get an EV, and some people are early adopters of EVs. They know I need a charger. Maybe I want a level 2 charger. Maybe I want a 350 kilowatt charger. I guess if you can do it. And they understand that. And then some people are like, I needed a charger. This is not to make fun of anybody.
But literally, you have customers that want to buy an EV and then they realize.
Well, they don't know. Maybe they don't know I need a level 2 charger, right? Maybe you're just going to charge from your.
Just going to plug in.
Exactly. And by the way, how much is that going to cost me? And what kind of expense is that going to be for me? So from a Hyundai Home perspective, the idea is, I think we've done a good job coming with the technology. So launch in your first year and win, World Car of the Year. Launches the second year off the same platform and win World Car of the Year again. With Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6, the idea was there's education and awareness when we move from early adopters to mainstream. And again, to get to our goals in 2030, you're going to have to accommodate mainstream. And so maybe there's an opportunity here to say, with an energy advisor, I can tell you this is how much a charger costs. And by the way, this is the installation for your particular home. And I have someone that I've checked out as a good installer, and you can trust this person. Then there's, you want to bring solar, because maybe that's how you want to get the electricity to your. And then now maybe I want battery storage for when it goes out. And maybe eventually one day I want to sell it back to the grid and somehow make some money. And I need an energy advisor because I just don't know about this. And by the way, maybe there's specific incentives in Allentown, Pennsylvania, that's specific to you, that if you do this, you get this much of your taxes. And someone leads you through that process, because this entire electrification journey is going to, I say it takes a village, but an ecosystem, right? And so now, how can we use that to benefit consumers that want that opportunity? We're not just looking at that. So there's Hyundai Home. There was Electrify America for if you want to do it out of home. And because we launched the EGMP platform on that 800-volt architecture, which was really unique, it brings, you have it in things like Porsches, but you don't have it in maybe mainstream vehicles. Democratizing that technology, now you're bringing that, I can charge 10 to 80% in 18 minutes, faster than your iPhone, right? So even if I do it at Electrify America, when I can get my 350 kilowatt charger, or I do it at home, I can, if that's a way that I can get that connected. It's how do we bring Electrify America? How do we bring Hyundai Home to help you be able to do this at home, but you don't know all about it, and I'll have someone walk you through the process.
Is it a Hyundai person, or you work with partners?
Yeah. So Electrum,
you don't make your own solar panels.
Right. Exactly. So and so we've got partners, but the other thing that we did is we didn't want like one partner goes out of business or something like that. So we have multiple partners. We'll do that with chargers. We have multiple partners with the solar panels and with the battery storage, right? And then we're also bringing our dealers into it, because some of our dealers have found really good installers. So when we know they're good installers, we'll bring them onto Hyundai Home as well. And so between Electrify America for out of home, Hyundai Home is like in home. Then from an infrastructure perspective, we want to look at, because all of this is needed for the electrification journey. It's not only just coming correct with the technology. And so from an infrastructure opportunity, maybe we can work with dealers that have, if they live in a maybe not New York City, but and they have a dealership with a lot of real estate, maybe we can work with them to pair them up with a partner in traditional oil company to build infrastructure for EV or maybe hydrogen on that. Is that a possibility? We have in Korea our e-pit stations, which is kind of a network to for Hyundai to have people charge their vehicles battery EV. Is that something maybe we can look at in the States, right? Are there in urban environments? What if we could set up where you kind of Airbnb your electricity? So I have a brownstone. I work with a company that has a charger that is right in front of my house. And then Jamie's in town for the auto show and he needs to charge his EV. He does it. Maybe the brownstone owner gets a cut and the company gets a cut. And then we build those to try to have them in urban environment. But we're working on all those avenues from an infrastructure standpoint, from the in-home with Hyundai Home, and then from the out-of-home with Electrify America, and maybe others as we go forward. But all of that is needed to accompany the great EVs like Ioniq 5 and 6. And
what's interesting to me is that you're the only company other than Tesla that's really tried to incorporate solar and home storage, right? Am I wrong about that?
I know Tesla has it.
Tesla's been doing it.
I think Ford has something with Sunrun or something like that.
Yeah, but it's it feels more like a fully baked concept. At least, maybe it's just because we see the Hyundai Home out on the show floors and all that, but it seemed, and you mentioned today in the Kona presser, or in the press conference, about that it's in place in 43 states?
Yeah, because the one, both with Hyundai Home and Evolve Plus on the subscription side, one of the things that I want to do, which I really value when you work with a traditional company and when you work with a traditional company, and is that we're really taking the time to do the due diligence and incorporating the partnership with the dealers, right? So we spent all last year like sort of working through the kinks of what could happen with this, both with Evolve Plus and with Hyundai Home. And so this year now is the year to scale it. So we're at the point with Hyundai Home that we can get it to 43 states.
Is there an average cost? What's the upfront? I mean, I feel like with the charger, right? I mean, I think you can still get a tax credit, right?
Well,
to kind
so
of
the
cover
charger,
that, or is it not
in general,
necessarily?
right? The charger's probably like $749, $750 in that range. But the installation. Now, some people, like maybe I have to go from your house all the way to the street or whatever it is, and then the cost is different, right? So it depends on that. And that's why you want that energy advisor or the installer and that piece of it. But $749 for the charger.
Okay.
Probably, let's say, in general, I wanted to get charger, solar panels, battery storage. I'm just going to go all out.
All in. Full pack, full boat.
A little bit, and it depends on the size of your house and all that.
Yep.
But let's say it's $60K, right?
Okay.
But there's incentives that'll let you take off about 26 to 30% off that. So you're gonna have it subsidized to a great degree, and then depending on which particular state you live in, there might be additional subsidies, and that's why we want that energy advisor to get that.
Right.
But the thing is, you might have a savings over the long term because maybe now you set your house up to be in a position to sell back energy to the grid
or
to
just not
generate
pay for everything
and
for
not
10
pay
years,
for it.
and then you're golden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very
And so we feel like getting into this now as the EV journey is starting to sort of accelerate. You need that piece in conjunction with the actual vehicle, which we've done a great job on the vehicle, but I'm biased.
Is it? Well, and apparently the world car judges agree with you.
I agree with them.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say? It's all about, facilitating and getting that ecosystem for people. Is it something now that you've scaled it up more, that maybe you'll start promoting beyond auto shows? Is there a advertising component that?
Yeah. So
Hyundai
what we
Home,
wanted to do, we didn't want it till we expanded out to all the states, and so you're going to start seeing more advertising kind of on a tier 2, tier 1 level for it now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up too much of your time. We did watch, you guys have just had such a big show. The Genesis reveal on Monday night. Jack was there.
Yeah. Did you like it?
That was great.
Yesterday at the JD Power event.
Yes. Did you see all our leadership?
I saw a lot of leadership. I saw the ads. I'd seen some of
our Disney
the Kevin
partnership?
Bacon ads. And then
On those Kevin Bacon, so see ads, fantastic.
Pretty funny. And I hadn't seen, especially the ones that were
The digital?
social, the TikTok. And,
Yeah.
So I had not seen those. That was pretty funny.
Yes.
Yes. So, and then today, of course, it's show day, so you take home a bunch of World Car Awards and have reveals and all this stuff. It's this is really
we're on a
big
roll.
healthier show.
We're on a roll. If I might say, I don't know. You didn't ask the question.
No, that's it. I was just really like, what is explain the role.
Well, what's been why I'm so passionate and excited about Hyundai. Okay, this was a company, Jamie, you probably know, a couple of years ago didn't have SUVs. All right, we've got Kona, Tucson, Palisade, Santa Fe, Nexo, Venue. A company didn't have SUVs, right? And
for a long time it was just Tucson and Santa Fe.
Right, and then Ioniq 5. Then we have an EV strategy where you come up with a dedicated platform, not a reconstituted ICE. And then you have Ioniq 5, you have Ioniq 6, soon to be Ioniq 7. And by the way, so I've been in the auto industry quite a while, and it's kind of hard to just launch without quality issues in the first year.
For anybody.
Like back in the day, the joke was just don't buy the first year.
Yeah.
Right? and not only did we launch really well, but it was just such acclaim. And such acclaim by not like one editorial board or whatever, like across the board. And then the Ioniq 5, and then you come out with that, it's at a 303 AER, it's got the 800 volts, democratizing that technology, all of that. And then the next year, you sweep all the awards again, And you're not 303 AER, you're 306 AER. Because now you've got streamlined, a coefficient of drag that's like 0.22. You got all these aero treatments. You got the active air flaps. And I mean, so you've gone from no SUVs to a company that is all in the EV. I mean, we talked about hydrogen, but it's not because we're abandoning that. We don't see it as a battle, right? But we're also investing in hydrogen. We've got investments of Motional on autonomy and self-driving, right? And then robotics, and so...
And eVTOLs.
Right, yes. Supernal with urban air mobility. And so from that perspective, we're on a roll. At the same time, we're selling a whole bunch of these. But, a little bit, as Jose said this morning, it's autonomous selling because we're actually delivering really great product.
Right.
And the design. I mean, Seng Yup deserved every award he got today because we've really stepped it up on design.
Yeah.
And so...
Built a huge team over the years, or a really high-profile team. From starting with Luke and Seng Yup and the other designers. It's really been...
and it shows.
And
both, I'm talking Hyundai, but it's also obviously on the Genesis side as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about the Disney car. How did that come about?
Well, there was already a relationship marketing had developed with the Disney team, right? And so last year we talked about, because it's Disney's 100th anniversary, and is there something we could do to sort of collaborate in terms of product? And so my team worked with the marketing team to see, because we wanted to design something, but we didn't want it to be, we still wanted it to have a level of sophistication and elegance associated with both brands, right? And so we wanted it to represent Disney, but in subtle ways, right? So we did the wheels, but not, like the entire Mickey Mouse face in the wheels. Yeah, right. But you can tell, right, by the ears, right? And then you can see in the seats. And then we knew that there was something we could do with the touch screen and the iPad and the head unit. And so we wanted to make sure that we could bring that together. And we feel we're bringing the best of Hyundai, especially in terms of EV. So we wanted to pick an EV in particular. We picked our special gravity gold color. It's matte, and we feel it reveals all of the sort of elements very nicely, but in a sophisticated manner. And I think it's going to be just a great partnership. We've been working really well.
I'm going to tell my CEO about this because, Automotive News has its 100th anniversary coming up. 2025, I think the Automotive News edition.
Are there some kind of ears
Ioniq
associated
6.
with
We've got the
Automotive
logo.
News?
We've got our AN logo, could be right there.
Maybe. We'll have to bring Angela into the conversation.
Yes. All right. Well, it was great to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today.
Thank you.